Good evening, everybody. It's a beautiful 23rd January, 2025. Coming up the Crusty podcast, episode 331. Oh, gender and cap gains. That's right. More arrogance, indecisions, and gender chaos based on statements from Pierre Poilievre, Donald Trump, Chrystia Freeland, and other liberal cronies who just can't make a fucking decision. All that and more come on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Viewer discretion and listener discretion is advised because I will swear, smoke cigarettes, make funny faces, and just make fun of the system as we see it. See you in a bit.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues, and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 331, More Arrogance, Indecisions, and Gender Chaos. This episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast is brought to you in part by and supported by Veterans for Freedom Network. That's right, Stand 2, Veterans for Freedom. And coming soon, sometime soon, Veterans for Freedom TV. That's right. You'll see veterans and other like-minded individuals such as myself and others hopefully come together in some big network. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Hope you've all been well the past couple of days. And I want to say thank you out there to my new subscribers. I've had about maybe 50 of them come on since my last episode. So thank you very much, you wonderful people. You guys are awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I want to say thanks to all the great comments, too. I'm getting more viewers up there. Thank you a whole bunch. And if you like and hear to see, click like, subscribe, share this content, all of your social media platforms. Do not be shy, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know you're out there. Give me a thumbs up. Give me comments and likes too, especially on Yankee Tango and on the Rumble channel too. I have to load the other episode on Rumble. I just haven't done it yet, but needless to say. So news today, people are still scrambling for the liberal leadership. So there's definitely more arrogance there. Donald Trump has said in the news today that he wants all NATO nations to put up their defense spending to 5% GDP. Now, I'm going to try to do this the best I can without losing my shit, without getting too angry. Canada's always had a problem with defense spending because there's all this BS when it comes to administration and bureaucracy and the magic word of boards, procurement boards especially. Okay, we've never actually had any kind of government since the better part of 1968 that comes from Pierre Elliott Trudeau, Mr. Trudeau himself, the first Trudeau that won the hearts and minds of many little commies in training and won the hearts and minds of so many hippies out there. Okay. And he basically decimated our military from 1969 till about the early 70s. Okay. So for a good few years, he wanted to amalgamate it all, make one big united force and all this kind of crap, and just basically cut spending. And sometime in the 80s, they tried to upgrade under Mulroney's watchful eye, but however, he was spending money on other things too. And the Chrétien government decimated our military yet again. And the Paul Martin government didn't really want to do much about it. He wanted to do a little too late. Harper was starting to get something on the go. And Justin, Mr. Potato Sock Boy, and his table of cronies said they were going to do many wonderful things for our services. Now look at us. Okay, now look at us. Now, for being in the military 20 years, I remember the Chrétien years, and I remember the Martin years, and the Harper years especially. Okay, and I remember Justin Trudeau coming in with his half-assed bullshit. And especially the year that I left the military, what he said to that young corporal, that wounded corporal, we've all seen it on the news. He asked him a direct question: did you intend to support veterans on our side or on their side? And of course, Justin's answer was, you're asking for more than we're able to give. That's commitment for you, ladies and gentlemen. That is commitment for you when it comes to the government and how they really feel about our troops and how they feel about our security. Now, I can sit here all day and talk about what Karina Gold has said today about how a lot of young people don't trust the liberal brand anymore. Well, she understands why. She just won't fucking admit to it, especially Chrystia Freeland. Okay. And all these other contenders that have come out of the woodwork to run for the liberal race and actually try to take charge and think they know what's going on. Okay. It's basically just a display of arrogance. It's a status quo of arrogance, right? They've been in power so long that they're power drunk and they think they know what's best for everybody by telling you and I what to do. Now, Mr. President Trump, as much as I do have some respect for him, I'm really starting to lose respect for what he's saying about the whole 5% thing, too. Now, the United States has always been a powerhouse. Always. Okay. Since the end of World War II, the United States has been a big fucking powerhouse. Okay. In a way, they're admirable. There's people that have envied it, people who have had disdain for it. Okay. So be it. Everyone's entitled to their opinion about it. Okay. But to my American audience out there, okay, to my American listeners, and please feel free to comment. I welcome all comments, especially for my friends in the United States. Okay. If you want us to think Canada can keep up to the American spending power when it comes to defending this nation, what is that based on? Now, Canada's population is roughly 40 million people. That has gone up in the past 10 years. We've seen an influx of Canadian citizens and naturally born Canadians, as well as Canadians coming over and people that want to be Canadian. There's also quite a percentage of people that just want to live in Canada for the benefits and not really give a shit about this nation. And I know some of you Americans feel the same way too when you get people coming over and they don't give a shit about anything other than little groups and little prosperities and whatever. But I'm not going to sit and get into the racial thing. It's not my style. What's my style is that we got two working democracies and we don't have leaders that want to take proper action. Now, I would say I would tip my hat to Mr. Trump for what he said in his executive orders in regards to male and female and keeping spaces open for women and keeping spaces for men, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But I'm seeing a lot of indecision here in Canada again. Okay. We're in a bit of a crisis here. And partially, I don't blame Mr. Trump by telling our leadership to smarten up. And I don't blame him for looking out for the security, especially of North America. But he also knows, too, that we have leadership that just doesn't give a shit. And I would have to say that these tariffs and these propositions, and whether it's the projections or conjections, it's not going to fucking help us. Okay, Mr. President? Now, to the Canadian leaders, you saw this shit coming. Okay? Right? We have one customer when it comes to our oil and gas, the Canadian consumer and the American market. Now, if you didn't push a bill called C-69 and worried about gender impact when it come to building pipelines and getting oils to market, especially through La Belle Provence to New Brunswick, okay, to send our stuff to Europe and give me this crap about the hereditary chiefs in Wet'suwet'en when it comes to putting a pipeline up there, because it was guaranteed there'd be a lot of work for the First Nations in that area to secure, procure, and to promote a natural resource. But of course, back in 2018, put this bill C-69 in because, building pipelines is detrimental to the feminine psyche, right? And it's detrimental to this group and that group. But then when you think about our economy, you think that green is going to save the day. And you think that wind is going to help here and solar is going to help there. I guess you don't remember last winter. Okay. I guess you're not going to really pay attention this winter because you're so goddamn worried about the polar vortex, right? We've all heard that one before, right?
The Canadian polar vortex of bullshit.
Yeah, I used to use that for a little segment I put on the podcast. I might use it again, but I think you catch my drift, ladies and gentlemen. So we're seeing more and more arrogance and more indecisions when it comes to the so-called new Liberal Party leaders, right? And now all of them, Mr. Carney and Ms. Freeland and Stephen Guilbeault, they're kind of stepping back on the whole carbon tax issue because now they're starting to realize Canadians don't want it, right? But what gets me the most is that they still have the audacity and the sheer arrogance to tell the rest of us that there's still 8 out of 10 Canadians who are doing better off because we're getting more money back. And it's economically sound. How do you figure? How is a tax that is screwing our livelihoods, screwing the industry and screwing transport and screwing the every industry in this country, how are we getting money back on that? Okay. That's the arrogance, again, that we are seeing every day. Doesn't matter if you turn on the boob tube, open up a paper, open up your news feed on your computer. It doesn't matter. That is the arrogance we are dealing with right now. And people are getting pissed.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 331 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. More arrogance, indecisions, and gender chaos. Oh my God. What are people going to think when there's only men and women in the world? Oh no, what are we going to do? What should we do?
Absolutely nothing.
Precisely. Okay. Now, I don't have the segment here. I've seen enough times today. I think every other podcast and every other independent journal out there has put on the interview that Pierre Poilievre had with CTV in regards to what do you think about Donald Trump saying there's only men and women. And Pierre's comeback, I think, was excellent in regards to the whole, is there another genders? Now, we've all seen the whole 72 genders here, 92 genders there, multiple personalities, multiple identities. Now, when I started this podcast, I've actually had some good conversations with two individuals that transitioned into females. Okay. And they both admitted, we might disagree on certain political aspects, but they both admitted that they were born male and they still carry the whole male thing. It's just they choose to present themselves as females, but they acknowledge two genders, male and female. It prolongs the human species. Now, I really don't care if any lefties catch a hold of this or if someone disagrees with me on this whole thing. You know, just think of Jim Carrey's skit, Vera DeMilo from Living Color. You know, hi, everybody. Beautiful Butchman bitching. That's funny to me. That's hilarious. Okay. But I don't care how you identify. I don't care how this person identifies. You go ahead and do it. Because you've heard me ramble on this podcast numerous times about you do you, I do me, whatever. And if you feel within your fiber as a functioning adult, if you know in your heart that you want to live your life that way, you go ahead and do it. You just have to take responsibility for it. Just like I have to take responsibility for my life. Just like my friends have to take responsibility for their lives, like my wife does, like my sisters do, my nieces and nephews, etc. Okay. But I think that was really, really ballsy and gutsy on Donald Trump's part, based on what we've been rammed in our face, what's been rammed in our faces and down our throats for the past 10 years. Okay. And I think that's ballsy. And I think it's even ballsy for Pierre Poilievre to do it too. Now, when it comes to this arrogance that we're seeing in Canadian politics right now, we're not seeing enough. How do you say? We're not seeing any kind of ultimatums that's going to benefit both of our countries. We're not seeing any suggestions, any viable solutions. Oh, we're going to fight. Justin Trudeau says, "Oh, well, we'll use this ketchup instead of that ketchup." Oh, that's really sticking it to the guy, isn't it? Of course, you putz. Oh, we'll use this bourbon instead of that bourbon, right? And I also just saw, too, that Ontario is going to call another election probably sometime soon, too, right? Because I think Doug Ford is losing favor with his proper conservative constituents, okay? Even though he's presenting himself as basically PC light or PC red, okay? So a lot of people are worried, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them because the cost of living is hard enough for Canadians out there today as we speak. And it doesn't matter if you live in Quebec, Ontario, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, Labrador, Yukon, Northwest Territories, Nunavut, BC, anywhere in Canada, here in Alberta too. Right? I went today and I got some groceries. Had to get some Advil, some cold medication. I'm getting a bit of a sniffle here. My wife is sick. She's been sick all day. So, she slept and she relaxed. She's feeling a bit better, right? And I had to get a bag of fruit because I do need a piece of fruit every day to get my vitamin C up. Try to eat healthier as best I can. And I got some milk. I got some cream for my coffee. And some dog treats because I got a couple of puppies and I love them dearly. And just a few other items. Oh, I actually got some of those little rice packets because I like making rice and pineapple and a little bit of chicken there, like a meal on the go kind of thing for my job, what have you. And when it was all said and done, it cost me $98. That was one bag of groceries. Now, if it was a survival situation where I just needed the medication for headaches or just the rice for food, Okay, would have been a lot cheaper. But still, it's a pretty steep price to pay for medication. When you want to be sufficient without having to go to the hospital, double check yourself to see what's going on, right? Because we've all seen the old adage of people going to emergency rooms when they have head colds, what have you. My wife and I, we don't believe in that. If we start passing out and start talking to ourselves and hallucinating, that's a different story. But if you got a head cold or a chest condition and you're having trouble breathing or whatever, vapor rub, whatever, the old wives' tales, old adage we had when we were kids. Common sense, okay? But what I'll do is I'll include an article here from the Toronto Sun about Poilievre and where he stands. But we're getting a lot of indecisions, too, when it comes to this whole carbon tax issue. Because Chrystia Freeland said that she would consider an alternative. And Stephen Guilbeault says he wants an alternative, too. But who gives a fuck what he says? That guy is as corrupt as a clean fart, right? No such thing. And Carney, well, he wants an alternative, too. But he was the one that advocated to the Liberal government, as well as Chrystia Freeland, advocated, as well as every other leader, stood behind the carbon tax in the name of saving the trees or making the air cleaner by making us broker. Here's my wallet. It's not balancing itself because nothing to fucking balance, right? Way to go, Justin. Yeah, putz, right? Now, we have a crisis here, too, because I think there is going to be a trade crisis coming on with Mr. Trump. I'm disappointed in some of his efforts, how he wants to push the 5% thing when we don't have the goddamn people in our country who have the cojones to get things done. Now, if that means Canada should buy some stuff off the shelf, so fucking be it. Okay? If we need proper helicopters, buy them off the shelf. Who makes the better helicopter? Chances are a lot of American companies do. Some European companies do too. Look at them. Weigh the odds, right? When it comes to shipbuilding, there's still a lot of ports in this country that can build some good quality ships without worrying about some corporation getting their hands in the contract and mixing and mingling with our tax dollars, right? Because we've seen a lot of corporate welfare to bigger companies like Bombardier and Irving, right? Think about that. Think of the work you could put, the work you can give to people on the East Coast if they built some great ships for the Canadian Navy and have our Navy back at what it was before. A good fucking fighting force, right? Think about that. But of course, there's more political indecisions because they get this idea that we'll get something done by 2032, which is too far away. We can't have things tomorrow. That's understandable. But then we still have some bigwigs who are sitting around thinking, well, we can do this a bit sooner. Well, you should have thought about that 10 years ago. You should have thought about that during the Harper years, too. You should have fucking thought about that when we were at war with the fucking Taliban and Al-Qaeda. But no, of course not. No. We still had an image to represent because there's still some parliamentarians that want us to be peacekeepers, wear the blue berets and go, now stop that. You guys get along. What kind of shit is that? That's the old mentality reference to my last episode where you had a lot of people from the 60s and 70s who didn't really give two shits about our military. But, when it come to peacekeeping, made him feel better. Going, oh, that's sincere. Isn't that just nice? Yes, of course. Pretty. Yeah, what a load of shit. But that's just me, though, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please don't hesitate. Give me a thumbs up. And if you like it, please click like, subscribe, share this content over your social media platforms too. Don't be shy. Right back after this.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, episode 331, More Arrogance, Indecisions, and Gender Chaos. That's right. So I know I've been jumping back and forth to the descriptions here too. We've seen the arrogance of our Liberal Party. We've seen the arrogance of the oppositions. Doesn't matter if it's conservative or the NDP alike. Okay. Jagmeet Singh's trying to talk tough, but the man couldn't, fight his way out of a wet paper bag. I don't give a fuck what he's qualified when it comes to wrestling or his MMA training. I don't care. The man's a douche. I got no time for him. No time for him. Right? Let's just remind ourselves about how the NDP likes to stand on certain issues. Pay attention.
Join today's NDP. We'll keep moving the goalposts. You don't walk the line for us, we'll call you racist, misogynistic, xenophobic, homophobic. We look for racism in everything. Please, join the NDP today. And subscribe and donate. Please, walk our line. Thank you.
And of course, they're kissing the butts of every Liberal MP out there too, because of the so-called agreement that Jagmeet Singh tore up. But this is where the Liberals stand on things.
Join the Liberal Party of Canada. We'll tell you what to think, what to do, how to wipe, how to pick your nose, all in the name of safety.
Now, I'm pretty sure that there's no Liberal member who has actually said those magical words, but I think based on their performance over the past 9 years, you can relate, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, thank you out there to my new subscribers and everyone who has joined the podcast. Subscribe to my page on Yankee Tango, and to my rumblers out there, thank you very much. Give yourselves a round of applause, because you are all wonderful people. Thank you very much. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys are amazing. Keep liking, keep commenting, all that good stuff too. If you see this live, ladies and gentlemen, please engage me in a conversation or ask me some questions, whatever too. I've been receiving some emails from a couple of people. That's great. Sorry I can't answer them in a timely manner for you, but I'll get to them as soon as I can. Thank you for reaching out nonetheless. I appreciate it. I will get to those emails as soon as possible. Okay. Others, please don't hesitate. I have my mailing address in my description too. So if you want to send me a card, send me a note, send a donation. There's links for my donations there too. But if you want to go old-fashioned way via snail mail, you can still while we can. Want to send me some swagger? Hey, I don't mind too, or just a kind word. That's fine too, ladies and gentlemen. You're all encouraged to do that as well. Excuse me. Too many cigarettes there. Had a long day at work today. Well, it wasn't too long. I was off at a relatively decent time. Got all my work done. There was some extra maintenance I had to do because someone else didn't do their part. But nonetheless, I'm here in one piece presenting to you in a timely manner. So anyway, carrying on with this episode 331 of the Canuck podcast, more arrogance, indecisions, and gender chaos. So I'm going to talk about gender again. I don't like say, I'm just going to reemphasize. Okay. I don't care how you identify, but there are two genders. You need a male with a female, bump some uglies, or to inseminate to make a baby. And then you let that baby grow up to be whatever he or she wants to be. I'm not going to say they, because they is used for two or more. For example, and here's some English teachings for you. Oh, yes. Oh, where's your mother and father? Oh, they went to the store to get some coffee cream. Oh, lovely. Where's your brother and sister? Oh, they went outside to kick the soccer ball around. There you go. There's a lesson for today. Thank you. Simple English, right? So they both have made some valid points, and we're going to start thinking common sense again, too. Not just because the Americans say so, because we've been saying up here for a long time. I've been saying it up here for a while, too, and some of my fellow podcasters by Alexa Frank Vaughn. He's got a great channel. Check him out, The Fulcrum, Frank Vaughn. Check out Radio Reaction. Paul, he does some great videos. He makes the title cards for me. Northern Perspective, Tanya and Ryan. Great power couple out of the Hamilton area. They make some great videos too. Moose in the Loose, Clyde Do Something, Marty Up North. Moose in the Loose, or not, correction, Clyde Do Something and Marty Up North. They get together every Thursday, do a little hour spiel. They've got a great inquisitive little show, so check them out if you can too, ladies and gentlemen. And any other independent, of course, Northwest Calverman too. He's out of BC. He's retired RCMP guy. He makes some great content too. So check out his work as well, ladies and gentlemen. And if you get a chance, support Veterans for Freedom. They do some great work as well. They haven't contacted me in a while. Mind you, I didn't mention them in my last episode. My bad. But I'd make a point of letting them know that they support, and they do support me, but they should keep in touch with me, needless to say. So anyway, from the Veterans Freedom Network, let me know what's going on. All right. Anyway, carrying with this episode, more arrogance. So we're seeing the arrogance still, of course, with Stephen Guilbeault and Karina Gold and Christopher Freeland. Haven't heard Mark Carney speak out in a while, though, eh? Interesting. Isn't that interesting? Just the simple fact that he's a global elitist, and so is everybody else in the Liberal Party, because they keep proving how out of touch they really are with Canadians. Okay? Now, my Canadian listeners, I want you to tell me something, if you can, either via the live broadcast that will come out in a bit, or via email or via comments. How do you feel? Right? Don't be hesitant. Just tell me how you feel. Let me know in the comments. Let me know via email or just, even when you see this come on live and premiered, just let me know. Let everybody else know too. And let your MPs know as well. Right? Now, I know Poilievre is upset. She get back to Parliament. But I think our leaders can do a hell of a lot more to negotiate something to get some kind of agreement with Mr. Trump. And like I've said before, I don't blame him for criticizing our efforts when it comes to the border, criticizing our efforts when it comes to defense and basic overall security. Okay. But a part of me is starting to think, okay, if he wants to tell all these other NATO nations to beef up to 5%, what's coming? What's in the works for us in the Western world? Not just for Canada, the United States, but what's coming for us in the Western world? Hey? This is a toy, by the way, YouTube. But think about it. What's coming? Is it that? I've got a few of those locked away. Is that what's going to happen? Or is it just somebody wants to hear themselves speak? Who knows, ladies and gentlemen? Time will tell. But we keep having these indecisive individuals that are making these decisions for Canadians. Okay. And there's people I've worked with, even my wife and I, we've talked back and forth. And I've said, let's focus on Canada. Okay. Let's focus on Canada. Let's focus on our home and native land. Can we do that? Unfortunately, our politicians are talking the game about Team Canada. And I'm almost positive that none of them have ever laced up a pair of skates and skated and played a good hockey game like our boys in Team Canada has. Not this past juniors team. They were terrible this season. But you know what I mean. All right. What's in store for us, ladies and gentlemen? We could protest. We could rally. We could throw bricks. What's it going to prove? So my best guess is that we hold fast and stand up for what we can. And if we do have the opportunity to get the questions out there, get them out there. But prepare for things. Extra water, extra food supplies, extra tobacco. If you have extra cash, keep it away someplace. And just try to keep a level head through all this fucking drama. Try to keep a level head. Well, because I'm not seeing or hearing the answers that Canadians need to hear. Or projection. Or deflection for something. Who knows? But I'm not going to get all emotional for this episode. I'll say that for some other time. But let me know what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Because it doesn't look as promising as I thought. Regardless of what Trump said about gender, or what Pierre Poilievre said about gender, or what was said about tariffs and counter tariffs and whatever, I'm not really seeing anybody talk about the freedom that we all deserve and that we all need. And I don't see anybody talking about how we should thrive like we all should thrive. But that's just me, though, ladies and gentlemen. Anyhow, I have been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 23rd of January, 2025. As always, I wish good things for you all out there. And try to keep a level head if you can. Don't be prone to violence unless it's absolutely necessary, as if it's a self-defense issue or, heaven forbid, something terrible coming out of the skies. But that's just me, though. My brain's wandering. But all I can say, ladies and gentlemen, is do your best. Look after your friends and loved ones. Stand firm, stand proud, stand high. Try your best to be kind to people to the best of your ability. And just try to keep a level head in all this chaos, because we will find the light in this manufactured darkness. And above all else, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I might see you next time. Probably this weekend for a Vids on the Fly, or hopefully the next couple of days, another podcast for you all. So take care of yourselves, and I will see you later. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here.
been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.